Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So this is going to be my talk on Google Analytics. All right. Just a quick reminder to everyone. So my name is Itamar Tati. I've been on the course with you guys. So basically, I have sort of a background in business studies, and also I did a course on internet marketing. So I have a bit of understanding on Google Analytics already before I've done the course and before I started doing the research. So the first question that anyone should ask, whether you're a developer, an investor, a business owner, is what is the point of using Google Analytics or any analytics for that instance? So right now, I found online. All right, sorry, my bad. So first of all, so one of the reasons we need to first understand what is Google Analytics before we can understand why we should use it. So Google Analytics is essentially a free-to-use web analytics service that tells you things about the people who are coming to your website. I say free to use, but it's not free to use for all businesses. So if you have over 5 million page views, Google starts charging you for the information that you gain. So online, I just gathered some important quotes on different people's opinions on why you should use Google Analytics. So things such as it's a very good way for you to understand who your customers are, essentially what are their interests, and so you can better direct your business to actually delivering what your customers want. Right. So the main users of Google Analytics, in my opinion, I don't even think that the main users of Google Analytics are developers or who find it the most useful. It should be developers who should be setting it up, who should be creating the goals. But however, the people who should find Google Analytics the most useful would be small to medium size enterprises, and that's obvious because it's a free service for them. And with these businesses, they're better able to actually change a lot of their systems and a lot of their strategies based on how the market has changed. Marketers in general, so people who are hired to do marketing or to doing consultancy. I actually understand Google Analytics a lot from marketing. And finally, investors. I think it's very important that investors ask companies about their analytics so they can actually see the direction that the company is going in and how successful the company is in converting users. Go ahead.
Less than 5 million page view, is that a day, a month, a year?
Which
period of time?
Within which period of time? Within the period of time, I think it would be a benchmark that you'd hit. So once you get to 5 million, yeah.
I see. Okay.
All right. So yes, so in this bootcamp, obviously we use React. So there are many different ways to actually set up Google Analytics depending on which framework you want to use. So React, it's slightly different from other frameworks. The first thing to do to set up Google Analytics, so this has nothing to do with React, this is just setting up your account. First thing you want to do, you just want to write down your account name, the actual website that you're creating. So for example, for me, it would be CodeFlix. And then you have to write down the full website URL. So we're using Heroku. So you put the full URL. The other things, obviously, you want to report in the country that you're in. Right. This is just an example of how I set it up for my portfolio page. So what you will get is you will get a tracking code. So here's my tracking code for my portfolio page. And then after we get the tracking code, we want to run npm install react.js to actually install the Google Analytics. And then after that, on the top of the screen, we want to import it. So this is generally what we want to do. We want to import it, React Google Analytics, and then after we import it on the actual page, you want to put your analytics on. So for example, on apps.js, you should put this line of code here. This would be my tracking code. You'd have to put your own tracking code. And with homepage, you can just name it homepage. It's just essentially like a variable, and you would have Google Analytics essentially installed in your machine. All right. I'd actually like to just take some time to show you guys just my Google Analytics and just an example of it, if that's all right. Oops, no, it's more. Say that again? No, it's on, isn't it on, oh, I thought it was already incognito. Alright, sorry, my bad. Okay. Oh, right. Just give me. Huh? Yeah. Just need to grab my phone.
Yeah.
488.
Yeah.
047. Alright, that's fine. All right, I'll continue on with the slides and then I'll try to do this at the end. All right, I would like visual representation, but I'll just try to do it at the end because it's taking too much time up. Right, so understanding Google Analytics. So this part is a bit more important, I would say. Because one of the issues I actually had with trying to use Google Analytics is I actually didn't understand any of the numbers at first because they're not really written in a very English sort of way. They're kind of just goals. So after reading a lot, finding other people's talks on it, I've kind of like broken down what some of these numbers actually mean, and I wish I actually had a visual representation so you can see these numbers, but we'll go and press on ahead. So sessions. So essentially sessions are just the amount of visits that you have. Users are the amount of unique users that you have. And yeah, with page views, this is how many times different people have seen your pages. it's really important to like from a sort of page views and unique users. I would say the less unique user you have, and the more page views you have, essentially it's better that way. Because with having this sort of information, you understand that people really like your page, or they're very actually interested in the product that you're trying to sell. And another good way of seeing that is sort of the average session time, so how long you're in there. Again, this all depends on the actual product that you're trying to sell. Now, goals, this is more from the actual development side. So developers like ourselves, we can actually create goals. Google already has some preset goals. So we can actually create different goals. And what goals are essentially things like, did the user create an account? And are the goals being achieved? So essentially, and sometimes goals can be sort of financial, sort of something was bought. So we can set goals and we can see if how many users are actually doing the goals. And again, that's another way to measure the performance of our website and whether we need to make any changes. And also with Google Analytics, there are also additional tools. So unfortunately, with my website that I put up for Google Analytics, I was not able to uncover any of this information. But Google Analytics does provide this information, so it will provide the age and the gender of the people on your website. So you can see, so if you have sort of an entertainment product, you can see how many of your customers are female, how many of them are young and old. It also goes in deeper, and it even looks at the interests of your customers. So if your customers are interested in movies, or if they like romantic movies and stuff like that, right? And finally, it also another additional tool is it can also look at the traffic source. So where your customers came from. Were they from organic searches on Google? So if someone was searching help for my essay and you were an essay help company, essentially would your customer, are all your customers coming on from Google? Or if you were an even bigger company like CNN, are your customers just writing down CNN and going straight to your website? Right. The very last part of, well, not the last part, I'll still try to give you guys some visual representation. The very last part is, so what analytics cannot do for an organization or business. It's also very important to understand that analytics aren't everything. So with your organization, you cannot base it all on just analytics. So analytics can't tell you some deeper things. So what I'm trying to say is there has to be, in a sense, deeper analysis of like actually talking to your customers instead of just 100% relying on analytics. All right, and that's the end of my presentation. If it's all right, I'm just gonna try to give you guys a visual representation. Okay. All right, I should be signing in now. I have about a minute left. So the website I actually chose to use for Google Analytics was my portfolio page. So because I used my portfolio page, I actually found out a few interesting things. So if I go to audience and overview, so I've actually noticed that, yeah, so I have about 27 unique users. I've had 53 sessions, so different people, so different people coming in. If we go a bit deeper, well, this is quite new, but before I saw that someone from using a computer that was in Chinese looked at my portfolio page. But now someone using a computer that's in French looked at my portfolio page. So you can see stuff like this. You can also see the country that people are coming from. So interestingly enough, someone from Romania checked out my portfolio page. Someone from Portugal. I actually know the person from Romania who checked out my portfolio page. It's actually a friend of mine that I sent to him. You can see more interesting things. Sort of how many people have come in today. And so on and so forth. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it for my talk on Google Analytics. Yeah.
So there's no information about how somebody might be navigating on your site.
How someone may be navigating on my...
So they go on a landing page, you know, isolate what they find interesting on your site, or if they come across a dead link or whatever. Is there a level of detail on...
Oh, okay, so in terms of dead links or just in terms of... So the... well, I would say maybe we can split it up more into qualitative and quantitative. So what Google Analytics will never be able to do is give you a qualitative representation of what people actually think about your website, but we can see certain things based on it in terms of a qualitative sense. So for example, for my portfolio website, just for example, right? If I saw that people were on the website for 1 second, right, as opposed to just looking through it, and I understand that a lot of recruiters are looking at my website, I can automatically just see that, hey, there's something absolutely wrong with the portfolio, that people are just clicking on it for 1 second. But again, it's not a very quantitative way of looking at it. So with that, that's something that we have to step away from Google Analytics and actually get people to review the website and actually see what they think about it. With things like dead links, I would say that's a different area of software. So there are different software you can actually get to see if your website has dead links. I don't think Google Analytics actually provides that service.
And,
Can you add some
Go on.
what you can say?
Keynotes?
So, no, so you start some coding, so you get some data.
Oh, right, yeah, sure. Definitely.
So before the end of the session, something we can do is I would like to show you, as I say, some statistics and the way I personally read analytics. So these are the well, hope you can see something. These are the analytics for the Codery platform and portal. So things that we can have a look. First of all, real time. This is relatively new. In the past, you had to wait until midnight to get the details of your site, which that was everything but convenient, especially if you are doing any kind of campaign or things like that. You never knew, what was the impact of the changes in real time of the website. Now it's really good. It takes maybe 5-10 seconds to refresh, but it's pretty good, right? Also, probably the thing I use the most on analytics is the audience overview. So I can see on a daily basis, even though you can drill down to the minute, I believe, you can see how many users are on the platform. By default, it shows the sessions. Well, I prefer to show users. So what I particularly like to do is to compare how good or how bad the web is behaving against a similar period of time in the past. So for instance, I'm going to see how popular the portal and the platform was on this bootcamp compared to the previous bootcamp. So I would like to select a particular period of time. So from the 7th of January is when we started until yesterday. And I'm going to compare it against the same period of time on the previous bootcamp, which I believe it was from the 5th of November to the 20th of December, more or less, maybe to the, yeah, I'm still thinking, maybe to the 19th. Yeah, let's see, of 18, let's see if that makes any sense. And then we'll compare the data, hopefully. Yeah, more or less, right? Actually, I can add 1 day in here to make it exact and precise. So we're comparing Mondays against Mondays, Tuesdays against Tuesdays, and so on, right? So that's, I particularly like that, right? Because you can see, so blue color, this is the current bootcamp, the orange one, that's the previous one. So you can see that on every single day, pretty much, of this bootcamp, the website got, you know, was more popular, right? And you can extract so much data. So for instance, you can see this kind of camel case shape or wave shape. So this is, generally speaking, you can see that, I can clearly see that this is Tuesday. So generally speaking, Tuesday is the most popular day. Wednesdays is the second most popular day. That's the same pattern every week. Why is that? Because these are the days that we do meetups, right? There's more people looking at the website on these days. And obviously on the weekends, we got less activity. Also, a couple of things that I can see is that today we got a spike of data on the 16th of January. And the reason we got 150 users in 1 day is because we send a newsletter to our 3,000 users on Meetup. Yeah, that's why, and surprisingly, more people, you know, was interested to check the details of the newsletter. We did the same thing on the 13th of February, and you can see that even though it was a moderate spike, it wasn't as prominent as the original one. Yeah. So, and obviously you can do, you know, you can quickly see that we have essentially duplicated the number of users, right? In 3 months or 2 months time. So that's good, right? To me, these figures look good. Apart from the audience overview and the real time, there are many things we can analyze. For instance, as Itamar suggested, the traffic channels. Yeah, where is people coming from? So we've invested some time and energies in the last couple of months to improve our visibility in Google. Yeah. So now, if you search Codeiry in Google, at least, yeah, we are there, right? We are on the first result, on top of the meetup. Yeah. If you search Codeiry book, yeah, it's also the first result, right? So it goes beyond the scope of the session how we managed to do that. But thanks to that, the thing is now, you can hopefully see that, for instance, yesterday, so we got 61 visits from organic search. So in other words, 2/3 of our users come from Google. Yeah, just 1/3 of the people is typing codeiry.com, which is what I originally thought that was the natural way to access the website. No one does that. Well, not no one, but just 1/3, right? 6 people came from social. What social means? Could be Meetup, could be Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, you can drill down and you can get more details about that. Also, of course, you got the region details, right? So, unsurprisingly, at the moment, UK is our main market, but interestingly, the second one is already Slovakia. We got some very active players there, right? Some of them are keen to collaborate with the platform in the future. Yeah. What else? You can even drill down and see, from which region or city the users are accessing the portal. Something I particularly like is the site content overview. So in here, I can see which are the most popular URLs. Yeah, I can see that, for instance, training, that's the top one, right? What a lot of players and developers doing training. Talking about the portal, ignoring the landing page, that's a bit surprising, to be honest. Not sure if you noticed, but we did a gallery in the portal like 10 days ago. It's already the most popular view on the portal, right? So if you go to Codere.com, it's interesting because that's the last option on the menu. So, you know, users, generally speaking, they check the content from top to bottom. But interestingly, the gallery, which is the last one, is quite popular already, right? So the way to check the gallery, you see it's at the bottom of the list. But if I click on the gallery, yeah, you got some pictures with some of you around, right? Daniel, Aisel, Mo is around as well, I think. Here you go. Yeah. So yeah, so that's quite popular, which is a good thing, right? It's a positive surprise, let's say. And one of the things I like about that, and I'm not going to show you too many details, is I can see how popular your profiles are. I'll show you. Every developer has a personal page on the Codere platform where you can see your email, how many challenges you played. It's your homepage essentially, right? So even though I never thought about that, for instance, I can see if I do a quick search of candidate profile, I can see that someone, this guy, and if I, it would be pretty trivial to see who is this guy, which I'm not going to do that now for privacy reasons. We can check afterwards, right? So this guy or this girl, I don't know who is very popular, right? It's the 42nd most visited web page is his or her profile. Yeah? Oh. On the whole internet. No. In Codere platform, of course. It's Google, Facebook, and then this guy.
For some reason.
Yeah, that's clear. That's probably more. Yeah.
For some reason, people are checking that profile.
Yeah. Why some reason? The thing is, you can simply go to the platform, right? And the thing is, if I'm new on the Codere platform, I'll go on the ranks. I'll show you. I go on the ranks. Yeah, and then you can click on the profiles, right? So there is, obviously, if you enter sensitive information like phone number, salary expectations, this is private. No one, apart from me and the companies we work with, no one can access, right? But there is some basic public details. So if I check any of the guys, so Justin, yeah. So you see, everyone has a different URL. So if we check on the details, so you can, you know, that kind of things. That's what I'm talking about, right? Again, we got some private information on the left-hand side just for partners. So yeah, so as I said, I never thought about that, but it's interesting, right? Because I can see the next most popular is top 80 already, right? So it's good to see how popular everyone is and why, right? Is it because you're in a good position? Is it because you have a sexy picture? Is it, you know, there are different reasons why people may want to access your profile. And finally, back to Jeff's question, we can check behavior flow. This is, I believe, what he was asking before, right? So you can see what is the classic flow. This could be a bit complicated. Yeah, it's pretty nice, to be honest. So I can see that, I'm not a big expert on that view, but I guess we can get an idea about how it works. So out of 200 users on the portal, why 200, I don't really know. We see that 93 go to training, 68 go scroll down to what, 63 sign up. You see, so you can analyze the behavior of the users, right? And for each main page, so for instance, platform dashboard, where do they go afterwards? The same thing, right? So the majority of the users, they go to training, some of them go to the challenges. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can also see if they sign out on things like that, right? Yeah, and yeah, as Itamar mentioned, you can prepare, you can set up goals, and you can do lots of things. It's a pretty impressive tool. I've been using it for I think 9 years now, and it has evolved a lot. It's really good, even though it takes a while to get used to all the information, right? Well, talking about analytics, finally, it's not just about Google Analytics, right? So we track analytics of every platform we are in. So talking about Meetup, you can customize Meetup, so you can integrate Meetup with Google Analytics. So you can see, for instance, how many people is checking the details of a Meetup event, right? All these sort of things. I'm particularly surprised about how good the new and beta YouTube Analytics tool is. In here, we can get so much detail about what's going on. So, for instance, we can see on each day of the month, obviously we can change the period of time, which was the most popular video, right? So we can clearly see that the the React meetups are the most popular ones, right? But apart from that, it's interesting because we can see some of your workshops as well, right? So for instance, where is Yaf one? So if I search Yaf, I can see that his workshop is actually doing pretty well, right? Is maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's the 13th most popular video of the month. Yeah. Yeah, 400 impressions, 96 views. You can see that's very important, right? Average view duration. Is people watching the video until the end? Is people leaving after 10 seconds? These sort of things, right? Watch time. So now YouTube is switching, at least internally, from page views to watch time. I think watch time is more meaningful because that means how much time your customers spend on the screen watching your videos, right? So yeah, video has been watched for almost 10 hours, which is a good thing, right? Considering our scale of metrics. And then we got Ashley. Ashley is pretty nice already as well. You see 4 hours of content on Ashley's workshops. And then we also got Isel. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing, very similar. You see, this is Isel and this is Ashley. I believe both they did both the workshop on the same day. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, one of the things that this metrics is telling us is that should we consider doing React meetups? Of course, because these are at the moment the 2 most popular videos, right? Same meetup, same event, in 7 days difference, they are top 2 already. Yeah. On the last 28 days, but if I go back to lifetime, essentially, what are the most popular videos in history? Well, the first of all is higher order functions, right? You've been watching that for a few times already. But apart from that one, which is a bit special, then immediately, because the higher order function is very old, right? It's like 7 months old or something like that. But then we got the 2 videos we recorded literally this month. One was recorded last week, and the other one was recorded the week before. We recorded the week before, right? And they are almost as popular already, yeah, as the higher order functions one. Finally, of course, talking about analytics, we can also incorporate Twitter, right? We can see what are the most popular tweets of the month, how many tweet impressions you got. Which is the top mention? Who is the new top follower? Oh, Itamar, you're here, right? All these sort of things. Cool. I think that's pretty much it, guys. Is there anything else?
Yeah, what do people talk about A/B testing?
Yep.
I mean, what are they doing? Are they generally, if you're talking about a website, just configuring it differently, maybe send them and then
Yeah, so that's a good question actually. When we talk about A/B testing, that means that you are, for instance, and that's something I thought about. You know, I had one idea, a bit risky idea, is I know that people that kind of like the portal and things like that, right? The colors, even though it may look a bit childish if you want. But one of the ideas I had is, because now we got some nice pictures of some of the events we've been doing, why instead of this childish-ish layout, why don't we add like full screen background images of, you know, these things like that, right? Why if the land page is a big picture, like in some of your portfolios, with a glossy text on top, something like that, right? It's a big change. And because I have no idea if that's a good decision or not, so we could do A/B testing. We could introduce the new website just for half of the users, or to 10% of your users, right? And then we can get analytics of each scenario. We can see if after introducing the new layout, users spend more time or less time, if they navigate more, if they navigate less. Essentially, we can analyze users' reactions to the changes. Yeah?
So how do you do that? Just by looking at the paths, or is there different analytics?
There are different strategies. So you can customize that at load balancer level. Yeah. So in your host provider like Heroku or AWS, you can say redirect 15% of the users that land in that page to that other page. Yeah, you can do this sort of things. Yeah, and then because this is a relative way of measuring. So for instance, we saw before what's the average time the users spend on /portal. So then we could say what's the average time the users spend on /portal next. Yeah, and then we can compare them. I'm not sure how far Google Analytics has a proper native mechanism for A/B testing. I don't know, to be honest. But in worst case, even if that mechanism is not in place, you know, it's a bit manual, but I'm sure you can figure out if the changes are positive or not. Anything else? No? Itamar, thank you very much. Cheers, guys. Thank you.